Wi-Fi fingerprint technology can now track your body without any device, phone, or even a camera. In a groundbreaking move, researchers from La Sapienza University of Rome have introduced a system called Wi-Fi, capable of identifying and re-identifying people based solely on how their bodies disturb surrounding Wi-Fi signals. This isn't science fiction. It's a real biometric breakthrough using nothing more than the invisible waves that already fill our homes, offices, and public spaces. By analyzing tiny distortions in signal data, specifically channel state information, or CSI, Wi-Fi creates a unique biometric signature for each person, achieving up to 95.5% accuracy. No visual image is required, no GPS logs, and no device in your pocket. Just your body moving through the air. The implications are massive. Wi-Fi becomes a silent observer, functioning in the dark, behind walls, and without leaving a traceable video feed. Unlike traditional surveillance methods, this technology doesn't need your face or your voice, just your presence. And with a transformer-based AI model powering its analysis, this system marks a new era in passive surveillance, where tracking no longer requires consent, visibility, or even awareness.
I feel like it's slowly getting more and more obvious what the actual intent is with the rollout of all these new AI technologies. Yeah, maybe they can help you cheat on an exam or alter an old photo to get your ex-girlfriend out of your birthday pictures, but the real advancements are going to be in surveillance technologies. But according to available information, a strong router can only extend a Wi-Fi signal at about 300 foot with no interference. It looks like in the future, to protect yourself from this type of technology, everyone's going to have no choice but to just use direct connections in order to access the internet. But there goes all the smart devices everyone's fallen in love with. There's no Ethernet input on the back of your Samsung smart refrigerator. Almost all of these devices nowadays are Wi-Fi only. However, if you live in an apartment building or something, you're pretty much going to be defenseless anyways. Your next door neighbor probably has a Wi-Fi router sitting on the other side of your bedroom wall. I get more grateful by the day that I live out in the middle of nowhere.
Now this is a strange one. A couple of fishermen spotted a mysterious luminous object in Bridge Surf Beach in Puerto Rico recently. Check this.
Mira, prendí, apagó. Tiene una boya allí.
They approach the mysterious light in hopes of figuring out what it is, but the more they approach it, the more mysterious it becomes. They notice how it keeps blinking on and off for some reason, and then they approach it a little more, and this is what happens.
No acercarme mucho. No, güey. Pone como pequeño. Wow, mira eso. Uy, no acerqué.
They follow this mysterious light for a few more minutes, and what happens next baffles the fishermen entirely.
Mira, empezó en el puente y está en la boya, era la boya. El puente está a mano izquierda, Mira eso, mira.
A humanoid being can be seen walking very fast next to the luminous object. At a certain moment, they actually capture its glowing eyes. Check this out.
Mira eso. Hay algo ahí. Mira algo ahí. Míralo. Yo no sé qué carajo es. Yo no quiero saber. Dale.
Stuff like this always throws me for a loop. Obviously, these guys could have just had a buddy of theirs jump into the water with an LED light and start swimming around the boat at night. But it doesn't look like that's what's going on. And it's hard to gauge whether or not their reactions to what they're seeing sounds believable because I don't speak their language. But from what I could tell, it seemed to me like it was some guys out enjoying a late night boat ride and They genuinely spotted something in the water that they couldn't explain. From what I could pick up from their tone of voice, it sounded like they were all talking through nervous laughter. But again, not being familiar with their language, they may be laughing because they set all this up, and as they're filming it, they're realizing there's no way anybody's going to buy this. But what do y'all think? I find it interesting regardless, especially with all the reports that we've had from people seeing these alien crafts come up from our lakes and oceans. That's the main thing that it makes me think of. Hey, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. I try to post 5 days a week, Monday through Friday.
In the U.S., Occupy protesters have descended on a quiet California redwood retreat, where some of the world's elite gather every year. Demonstrators say the 2 weeks, officially portrayed as a time of rest and relaxation, is really a chance to discuss plans for the world's future.
What do you mean idol worship? Is that things, watches, cars, motorcycles?
Well, today, but no, this was worshiping demons. Psalm 96:5, the gods of the Gentiles are demons, it says. And so the Israelites continually, over time, fell into idol worship, false gods, Baal worship, and other demon gods of the pagan nations, because they brought in power.
Who are those gods?
They're still around.
Do they have names?
Yeah.
What are they?
Baal, Beelzebul, Moloch.
I mean, I hear a lot
spirits.
about this stuff. I hear a lot about Baal and Moloch.
Yeah. Various nations in ancient Israel had their own deities. Moloch was one human. I'm a jealous God. Right? I'm a jealous God. The word jealous means the passionate zeal of a lover commanding the fidelity of his bride. And so to those who hate me, and then he lists off, what does it mean to hate God? To follow false gods. Everything that they do is a mockery of the faith. The command to wash yourselves was like a nuptial bath in preparation for God to wed himself with his people. And then they commit over and over again, they keep falling into idol worship. And we're no different. Let me look at Marina Abramovich.
They're sitting in front of me, they photograph, they film, they watch by me, they have nowhere to escape except themselves. And when this happen, realization of something else, takes over.
And so these things have been around for a long, long time.
Describe it.
In their mythology, this is how this deity that is both male and female.
What is a deity? Is that a demon?
Psalm 96:5, the gods of the Gentiles are demons, so it's a demon, yeah. Power is not the same as authority. Power is the ability to affect change. Authority is the right to command. You have the name of God as the Lord God Almighty. Sometimes you hear it. The Dominus Deus Sabaoth, the God of hosts. This is the God that intervenes for his people against cosmic forces. This is the God that the early church fathers understood Christ to be, the warrior God. And what we have is...
This doesn't make sense to me. I mean, the Gentiles are the ones that believe in Jesus Christ, correct?
Well,
everybody that's not a Jew.
His mission was to the Gentiles, to us, you and me, because we're Gentile. And just have the priest or the deacon that's there reading that story, and Baal's present possessing this person. They go ballistic to see the scriptures come to life. It's not just theory, or it's not just, okay, read these things so you can go to heaven. I mean, when you're dealing with Baal, very powerful.
So does that mean it could be anything that you worship other than God and Christ? When I see things like that, it actually strengthens my faith in Christ, because that's the other side, which is obviously alive and well right now. You know, and I look at that like, look at this. Like, this is... It is what it is. And if that's real,
yeah,
then so is the good side.
This is the exact thought process that led me to the truth. If you look at that email from the Hillary Clinton WikiLeaks email dump, there were references to satanic worship sprinkled throughout those emails everywhere. Not to mention all the other atrocious revelations that came out of those leaks. And these are people at the highest forms of government. These are the people who are actively fighting to institute these systems of control. How can anyone think that these people who gatekeep all of human knowledge, who have access to things that we could only dream about, how could anyone honestly think that they're doing these things simply out of a misaligned religious view? They're doing these things because they've seen the evidence showing them that this stuff is real. And in their short-sightedness, they've discovered that if they swear their allegiance to the dark side, they can attain everything their evil little hearts desire in this life. I'd say that's the biggest revelation that started shaking my disbelief and woke me up. If the evil is real, then the good stuff they're fighting against has to be real as well.
Yes, hello. Let's talk about one of the strangest lakes in the world. It even deserves its own trigger warning. Spotted Lake, or Lake Kliluk, located in British Columbia, is one of the strangest places on the planet and unlike any other lake in the world. This lake is located just over the Canadian border near Osoyoos in British Columbia. This is an endorheic lake, which means there's no water flowing in or out of the lake. So the only way for water to get in is through meltwater from snow, and the only way for it to get out is through evaporation. It's at the bottom of a sealed basin, so as snow melts and water makes its way to the lake, it's picking up minerals and salts along the way. Over the course of a hot summer, the water begins to evaporate, leaving behind these concentrated pools of brine. Each pool is a unique color because there are different concentrations of salts and minerals in each one. The water contains large amounts of magnesium sulfate, calcium, and soda sulfate, along with traces of silver and titanium. The waters here actually have some of the highest concentrations of sulfites anywhere in the world. In fact, in World War I, these salts were used to manufacture explosives, which really goes against its role as a sacred place to the Okanagan First Nations people of Canada. For them, this has been a revered place of healing for centuries. According to their belief, each circle has its own healing and medical properties. During war times, the fighting sides would even call a truce so that warriors could go down and wash their wounds at this sacred location. There are vantage points right off the highway to see this polka-dotted lake, but please do not walk on it.
It's pretty sad that she has to give that warning not to try to walk on this. Not really necessary though, as according to the internet, you can't even walk down to it anymore. You can only view it from parking your car on the side of the road. They don't allow anyone to go down there anymore. Apparently, they had a problem with tourists all the way up until 2001 throwing their trash in it. Big surprise there. But I just wanted to add this because for one, it's fascinating and I'd never heard of it before. And it's pretty interesting that it's claimed to be the only place like it in all of the world. And while there are theories as to how it was formed, there is no general consensus that's being made based on hard fact to explain how it actually came to be. If you were allowed to walk to it though, the sediment around those pools supposedly dries and gets so hard that you can walk on it like a natural pathway. Though there ain't no way I would trust that. It looks like a natural alien chemical manufacturing ground. I think they need to add this as one of the natural wonders of the world.
See where a lot of people have been talking about the same topic, about how their life, this is what they're saying in the comment section, that their life doesn't feel the same to them anymore. Kind of like they're half in this world and half out of this world. And I just want you guys to know, for the ones that feel that way, that you're not alone, because I feel that way every single day. Every single day, I no longer feel like the person I once was. And it's almost like I don't even recognize life anymore. I mean, here I've been on this planet for 54 years, but this world feels so foreign to me. And ever since COVID, it seemed like we went through some kind of like time shift, and it just seems like everything is happening so much faster now. I know that things go faster as you get older. I understand that, but I'm not talking about that kind of thing. It seems like everything is in like extreme fast forward. The days fly by. There just seems like there isn't enough time to even get 2 things done in a day. 2 things before it's time to go to bed. It's like I don't even have time to do 2 things. I have been trying to convey in a video what I'm talking about, and I'm not able to do it, you guys. I'm just not able to put my finger on it. How in the And we go from what we remember the world being like to this. How did it come to this? What the hell happened to life? What the hell happened to this world? What the hell happened to people? Nobody wants to do anything anymore. Nobody wants to get together anymore. Nobody cares about anything. You can't even talk to people about anything today and have them even give a damn on anything. Nobody cares. This world is just like gray.
So anybody else resonates with what he's saying? Because it's like we're all waiting for something to pop through, and the anticipation is a lot. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of heavy energy in the atmospheres because it feels like we're waiting for something. And this, I believe, is this 3D to 5D ascension thing. Because in a new world, you can't take politics, you can't take government, you can't take jobs, you can't take none of this stuff with you. So their world has to be removed. It has to be dismantled. But I truly believe this is the reason why a lot of people are feeling this way.
This is a topic that I hear being brought up more and more. Nobody cares about anything anymore. Nobody seems to have the drive for life that they used to have. No one seems to think that anything is really that important anymore. I have a theory though, and I don't think it'll be that long before we get to find out if there's actually any validity to that theory. Think about this incoming false flag alien invasion they've got planned. If you can get behind the idea that there are no aliens and that the aliens are actually just demons that are presenting themselves as visitors from some far distant galaxy, which is 100% where my head is at, then this feeling everyone has starts to make a little more sense. Think about this. Clearly, by design, our governments have been systematically destroying society. Everything from culture to common sense. You'd be hard-pressed nowadays to find someone who even has the ability to think logically. It doesn't make any sense why pretty much overnight, over the span of the last few years, there's this massive push to dismantle things like patriotism, critical thinking, or even factual information, like the fact that there are only two genders. But if these aliens are going to show up and present themselves as the saviors of humanity, would we not need to be in an extreme state of disrepair in order for everyone to get on board with these alien visitors taking over and controlling everything for the betterment of society? People seem to be reaching a point of desperation. A lot of people are reaching the point where they'd sign up for likely anything if they thought there was even a small chance that it could help fix things. I could be completely wrong here, but I think all this stuff is connected. What do y'all think is the reasoning behind all of this?
He turned plastic waste into gasoline, went missing for weeks, and now we finally know what really happened to him. His name is Julian Brown, and he's been going viral with his experiments turning plastic junk into usable gasoline for vehicles, which he calls plastiline. Yet another revolutionary innovator of efficient and easily accessible energy disappeared, and everyone was worried for his life. Ever since he posted this cryptic video to his socials saying that he's under attack and that he's getting hunted down by some sort of shadow agents. He went ghost for weeks and everyone thought they got to him, which kind of makes sense. Big Oil definitely hates this guy. As you may or may not know, anyone who threatens the dominance of oil and gas companies tends to go missing. It's happened countless times in the last century whenever an inventor comes out with technology that can create energy in unconventional ways. Just like Stanley Meyer, who back in the 80s created a car engine that ran on just water, which he and several scientists validated in many tests, who mysteriously passed away from a sudden brain aneurysm as he was signing a deal for his invention in 1998. Technology that would have provided cheap and easily accessible energy to the world. And that's kinda what Julian Brown has been working on, and he's been getting a lot of attention on social media for it. Building his own makeshift gas station, showing and documenting his entire process of turning plastic junk into fuel. Fuel that can power cars, potentially even jet fuel, providing energy made from literal garbage. Calling it a microwave pyrolysis reactor, basically a high-tech oven that melts plastic using a very specific process that turns it into a flammable liquid that can be used as gasoline. And he proves the plastiline gas is real by testing it on many engines in his videos, all while working in a remote location somewhere in Alabama for added safety, and turns out he really needed it. Dealing with crushing heat and relentless mosquitoes, which got so bad he had to create his own sunscreen using all natural ingredients with no carcinogenic chemicals that was also a mosquito repellent. Julian Brown really is the real deal. He was even recognized by Forbes magazine in May, and his company, Nature nature jab was highlighted for his many revolutionary achievements, including his microwave pyrolysis reactor, his plastic gasoline machine directly recognized by Forbes. Oh, and it's also solar powered. His machine was even tested by ASAP Labs in Washington, which confirmed it burned cleaner than regular diesel. Ahead of creating his company, Brown was selected as a 776 Climate Fellow, a 2-year program that recognizes young people for thinking of innovative ways to tackle climate change, which, whether you believe is real or not, is still an impressive accolade of his. Also receiving a $100,000 grant from Alexis Ohanian, co-founder of Reddit, and tens of thousands of dollars in additional support from a GoFundMe. Not to mention, he's been featured on the news as well. To put it simply, everything this guy claims he's doing for real. There's no doubt about that. Well, in a then deleted, now reposted video, Julian appears extremely uncomfortable, claiming that he's being watched and is under attack. That he's seen many black helicopters watching him from the sky, with spotlights shining down and tracking his every move. Helicopters that circled him over 5 times and came so low that he could feel the wind of the blades on his body. He's been saying that something big is about to happen, and even admits that he may not live for much longer, which he's actually mentioned in many other previous videos as well. That he's being watched and is receiving literal threats from unknown sources. That the EPA and the IRS are specifically targeting him, and that all it'll take for them is to deem his invention a national security threat and they can legally shut it down. Despite these threats, he promises he will never back down from his ultimate mission, to bring plastiline to the world. Well, after this video, posted in the beginning of July 2025, he goes dark and doesn't post for weeks on end, which kinda made the internet panic. Speculation started circulating online that he's gone missing and that something bad probably happened to him, as we know has happened time and time again with disruptive inventors of his nature. Well, a week or so later, his mom came out and told the Daily Mail that she can confirm Julian is safe, but is currently in hiding, and in the best interest of his security, she can't reveal any more information. Everyone assumed the worst, that the oil and gas energy mafia got to him and stopped him from spreading his plastiline invention to society. But then, about 3 weeks after his disturbing message, he finally comes out and tells the world he's back and what's really been happening. So apparently his iCloud was hacked by some anonymous hackers who were able to remotely monitor everything on his phone, and then were able to hack into his Instagram account, posting his driver's license online and exposing his address to the world. No matter how many times he changed his password and updated his 2FA, the hackers would always find a way back into his account, which tells us these definitely weren't some regular 2-bit hacker trolls just messing around. These guys were professionals. They knew what they were doing and were very experienced. So Julian went dark as he got support from Meta to fully get his account back, as some of us know can take a really long time. Also saying that Meta actually tracked down exactly who hacked him, which we'll hopefully figure out very soon. And I can't imagine any regular person who would be against someone from releasing cheap and accessible gasoline to the world, except for anyone involved in the oil and gas industry themselves, as something like this doesn't look good for their wallets, who have systematically suppressed alternative energy technology for decades, using patents, lawsuits, and convenient accidents to maintain their empires and cover up inventions that threaten them, which suggests is exactly who went and is possibly still going after Julian Brown. He's been showing the progress he's making on his machine, still hard at work on it, and as of now has been posting ever since. Everyone keep an eye on this guy and protect him at all costs.
I'm still trying to figure out what the real details are behind this story. Digging deeper into the idea of this plastic to fuel conversion, he's not the first person to think of this idea. I think the kid was just able to market himself better than most because of his ability and know-how to use social media. But aside from his version of this, I'd never even heard of the idea of converting plastic into fuel before. But there are literally dozens of companies working on this idea right now. So even if he comes up missing, the idea is not going to disappear with him. Plus, with him being talked about in every corner of the internet, I think the exposure that he's gotten for himself is giving him some form of protection. There are too many eyes on this kid. And the process he's using isn't a new process either. Pyrolysis is supposedly a well-known but dangerous process that's only feasible at small scale, though Julian Brown has kind of made his own version of it called microwave pyrolysis. I think what this looks like to me is that they've likely known how to do this for a very long time, but they tell us it's way too dangerous to do at scale and costs way too much money to be viable. And then suddenly, some young inventor from Alabama starts posting TikTok videos proving that they've been lying to us. I think that's the reason he's being attacked, not necessarily because he figured something out, just because of what he exposed. He's proven that this concept is much more viable than they've been telling us.
Why is the whole world on fire?
Is it climate change, or could something else be going on? Okay, so a couple days ago, I was sitting in the airport in Madrid and I saw this headline pop up on a Spanish news channel, Waves of Fire. So I started digging into why all these massive fires were happening in Spain and the rest of Europe, Canada, US, all around the world. And most point to climate change being the cause, which, okay, I'm not gonna deny. But then I came across something strange, something disturbing, which is that we are quote unquote grooming forests by spraying glyphosate on them. Okay, according to the CBC, the Canadian forestry industry is spraying thousands of hectares of public forest with glyphosate each year to promote profitable carnivorous growth and to eliminate hardwood species like aspen and birch. And glyphosate is, of course, the key ingredient in Roundup, a pesticide, a weed and grass killer, and evidently we are spraying this all over our forests to some pretty bad effects. Quote, researchers are growing increasingly critical of this common forest management practice as studies show it may be causing fires to travel farther, faster. Aspen and birch burn more slowly than glyphosate-resistant carnivorous trees, and some experts say removing them is quite literally stoking the fires that have plagued the province. And why are they doing this? Well, they say that, quote, it's an efficient way for the forestry industry to streamline cut blocks so they can contain the most profitable kinds of trees. So like everything else in the world, profits over people. But sure, it's hikers that are the big problem. Let me know what you think.
This is absurd. So they're spraying Roundup all over the forests, increasing their likeliness of going up in flames, and then blaming the general public for all the forest fires, all in the name of squeezing a few extra dollars out of the lumber industry. Big surprise. It always comes down to money. I tell you what though, if they're spraying all that garbage in the forest and they really want to keep people out of there, they'd probably do better to just tell everyone that the trees are all coated in Roundup. Nobody wants to be walking around in that mess giving themselves cancer. They should have just told everyone what they were actually doing.
Here's something interesting you might not have ever thought about. You ever wonder why Australia and Africa are such barren, dry desert wastelands? Here's why. As you can see on this flat Earth map, the sun and the moon are the ones that are moving around the Earth. Now, this is in October, so watch this. Really interesting. If I zoom in, on October 25th, the sun is at the south tip of Africa. Okay, so that's its pathway right there along that region. Now, if I fast forward a month to November, it's still on that southern tip of Africa. I fast forward to December, it's still going along that southern tip of Africa. Fast forward to January, it's still on that southern tip. Fast forward to February, it's still on that southern tip. So that southern tip of Africa is experiencing 5 months of direct sun rays right over it. Now the middle part, if I look at March, it's going right up over that middle part in March, but then I fast forward to April, it's not over that part right there. So now we're going on the northern part, so check this out. So that's April. May, the sun is going right over that northern part of Africa. Go to June, and it's still going right over that northern part. Look at that trail. Look how dry it is in that area, and look how perfectly the sun's pathway matches up with that. Now we go to July. Interesting, it's still on that pathway. August, going a little bit southern, but it's spending about 5 months of its time in the northern region of Africa and 5 months in that southern region. So pretty interesting. It doesn't spend a lot of time in the middle. Now if I go over here to Australia, with this one, if I fast forward to, let's say, October, so it's kind of going towards Australia a little bit, but then if we fast forward to November, okay, so now it's going pretty much right over Australia, so that's a full month of direct sun rays. December, now it's right over Australia, so that's 2 months of sun. January, right above it, 3 months of direct sun. February, still kind of over it just a little bit. But it's interesting, especially with Africa, how the sun tends to go right over those regions, and it happens to be dry in those areas because of the sun's pathway going right over those areas. So something I thought was really interesting, if you haven't woken up to the truth about the fixed flat Earth with a solid firmament above it that divides water below from water above, you definitely need to look into it, because it's going to definitely change your worldview literally and shatter your old worldview. It'll change your life. You'll look at the world in a brand new way for the better. You'll start seeing sunsets differently. You'll look at the stars differently, and life becomes a lot better, and you'll realize that we've been lied to our whole lives and that we are the center of God's creation. We are special, and everything becomes so much better. So wake up to the truth, and yeah, God bless. Have a great day, guys.
I have to say, after seeing science try to explain to us how for roughly 60 days out of the year, 99% of the Earth's population is all experiencing daylight at the same time, I've been seeing a lot of this flat Earth evidence in a completely different light. I think I just couldn't shake the indoctrination before. But going back to the flat Earth map that he was just showing, literally every continent seems to fall in line with this theory. That's some pretty heavy evidence. And looking at the mainstream's explanation as to why all of the deserts seem to fall on 30 degrees south or 30 degrees north latitude, they tell us it's the way the wind moves around the globe. That doesn't make any sense at all. Just look at the Sahara. It spans the entirety of the African continent. If it really was because of the way the wind is moving on the 30-degree latitudinal lines, and things really were lined up the way they show us on a globe, wouldn't the entirety of the southern half of the United States all be desert? But look how tropical Florida is. Looking at that flat Earth representation makes way more sense. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch all of the content that I've watched on this topic that I just disregarded. This stuff is crazy. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. But guys and gals, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day. I will see you all tomorrow.